I want to thank everyone for coming. Those who took part. This is one of the largest jams taking place. I want to thank everyone who took part this weekend. 10 teams. That's the most teams we've ever had, actually. And
Also the same as the number of years of Global Game Jam.
yes. Well, I'd put it that way. But yeah, no, I think it's the largest number of teams we've ever had at either a global game jam or any game jam, period. So it's just getting bigger. We need more help. We'll talk about that another time. For those who are arriving for the presentation, this was the 10th anniversary of the Global Game Jam. The NHTI has been a venue for the Global Game Jam for all 10 years. That makes us one of the few special venues around the world. There's few the same, the crazy who've done that. The theme this year was the word transmission, and we were allowed to interpret it any way we wanted. I was as an organizer, I am linked in with the worldwide organization. Luckily, we weren't the venue where transmission meant spreading the flu around. Please be mindful that people who have worked on this have been working the past 48 hours. Literally 40 days. It's been 40 hours since I did the keynote. So they're tired. So they're like me stumbling over words.
So I am yellow.
Alright.
And I'm red.
Find Steve.
I'm looking for Steve. He's one of those white capsule people. We don't know exactly which one, and they all move randomly at different speeds to help him try and blend in. Oh, he's running at me.
Oh, no.
Kill him. Is that him?
That's it. No.
Oh God, no, he
That
bit
was
me.
good.
I'm down. Yeah, no, that's him right there. It's gotta be. Thanks for the wonderful right there.
So quick.
Oh, we got you. And it brings you just back to the main menu.
There's apparently a version of it available.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's patience. Ta-da! Most of what you see was all done on Saturday because that's the only day the controllers wanted to work. For some reason, we put the wireless adapter in and it said the driver was unavailable, so we could not work with controllers except for Saturday.
We also had a computer shutdown which deleted all of our progress, but that was our fault. We didn't back it up the first time. We backed it up the second time.
This is why you do not put things on the C drive.
We've got 5 backups. We have 2 flash drives and 3 different computer drives backups of this.
Alright, so I made Life is Short, Then You Die. So you can see he's playing as this little black cube here who's slowly blinking, and it will start getting faster and faster until he explodes. He's about like 10 seconds before he's got to run into those other black boxes, press R, in order to continue going on with his life. So if he runs into that black box there, he'll take control of the other one.
Cool.
There's a bunch of different little like traps, like spikes in the ground, and smashes and flamethrowers. Because I was saying you'll die if you touch that. Don't fall off, you also die. Ours restart. There is a little bit of sound effects, but I think our volume's down.
If you turn up the volume, I think you have a speaker. Yeah.
You can do it, Jack.
There's no speaker on there.
Cries. Oh. It's just like background music, kind of stuff. Try to make you feel happy while you're desperately trying to run. There's this level and one more after it. You have to dash right away. Yeah. I love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Hey.
Oh.
Don't really have that much time.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the last level.
You got a harder one.
You can't go back. You can swap back. It does adds a slight delay.
Oh, no.
Oh no! Unless they run away. While he's working on this, talk about the animation system. It's not on display too much here, but effectively, all of the animations are done within Unity. Like I didn't animate anything inside like Blender. All the objects are created in Blender. But Unity is what handles all of the lerping, the rotations, the little bendy wobble as he runs around.
Getting worse.
Just go once it lands.
What?
Oh,
Took too long.
Oh, fuck.
Just walk it forward for me. Oh, you ready?
So this is high voltage. We did this as a two-man crew. He did all the programming and all the heavy lifting. I did the art for it, the sound effects, and pretty much whatever else I could. So basically, it's a cyberpunk game where you are told to go in and find the VIP, either taking control over them through persuasion or a little bit more violent methods. It's a stealth platformer, and if it's not like all the way up for volume, we'll see if I can get to the level. So yeah, your basic jumping and all the normal platforming stuff.
Can you fly? Cannot fly.
No, unfortunately, no flying. Cool ways to sneak around people.
It's telephone.
Teleportation. We didn't have the time to get the animation done for that, but there was a little animation for it.
Yeah.
Ah.
Just go all the way down there.
You die.
You die in the game.
You die in the game. Yeah, in the game you die for real. A little bit of shortcut. So nobody looks left. That's it. It's a nice little simple. Who's the voice actor for the electricity?
And so for the idea of transmission, what we did is we made a office and you work as a phone operator, connecting phone lines. So Brody, if you want to go ahead and start the game.
No sound actually playing through the computer, right?
There is no sound in the starting menu, I believe.
There is not any.
Okay, cool. But once we load, you'll hear our...
Ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay.
There
we go.
So basically, if you mess up in a couple of ways, then you'll lose one of those lights in front of you. And so there are 3 green lights to start with, and when they're all 3 are red, you lose. And you can mess up
So, all of the incoming phone calls, we did recordings over the weekend with, we had like a studio mic. And so some of them are like actual phone calls, like, oh, can you connect me to my friend Bob? Or can you connect me to the police department? And then sometimes we thought it would be very funny if you get some prank calls. So there's some very wacky phone calls in here.
So there's a lot you need to keep track of too, the way it's set up. If you don't, you can lose points if you don't, if there's not a free line when a phone comes in, then you'll lose a point. And if you actually unplug it before the call's completed, and you can see if the call's completed because the light's indicating it on the bottom, and then you can see your score off the side there, the total amount, the best streak you had, and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. So you can see the lights on the bottom say whether a call's coming in on that line. So once it starts ringing, you'll be able to see. It takes a little bit for the first call.
Yeah, how do you know?
It says, so it blinks on the place where you're supposed to plug it in. It looks a lot more clear on the audio.
You can't see the one here, but the light, there's the indicator light is blinking.
It's like really hard to
Have you
hear,
pressed
but-
Yeah.
through to a random number?
Is that legit though? Can you put it to a random?
No.
You failed twice already.
Apparently.
Is that still showing?
Yeah. You have to wait for the light indicator on the box.
The light for the call is like randomized in an interval and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's the essence of our game.
Okay, so our project is called Lunar Loner. The original idea was to have a puzzle that you had to solve by receiving transmissions from space. And they would give you clues as to what the actual combination was to get this teleporter up and working. But things broke, and we lost a lot of time. So we have a lot of half-finished systems.
That were fully finished like an hour
Yeah,
ago.
there were some things that broke within the last couple of seconds here. But what we did end up getting implemented was a planetoid gravity system in our VR. So the way gravity normally works in Unity is everything is pulled down naturally. In a three-dimensional grid, everything is pulled directly down on the z-axis, or y-axis rather, in Unity. Yeah. And with this system, everything is going to be pulled towards the center of a game object, being the planet. So we are in space. We're on the moon.
Space. No, I mean,
He's on the ground. No, he's on the dark side of the moon. There's no lighting on the side.
What about a flashlight attached to your head?
Did not get the flashlight.
Follow the stars.
The way the system works, or will work, is that there are points out in space that are broadcasting radio transmissions, and we've got a system of colliders essentially that are sent out to interact with those points in space, and you would receive transmissions with details on the combinations, the end puzzle. Another thing, oh yeah, those are pieces of the puzzle. So those are little glowing gems that can be interchanged on the console. If Steve, if you can go find the console for them. But those are all hidden along the dark side of the moon. And I believe.
Take a left of the rock.
Go left. Go left.
Next grader.
I'm trying to. Somebody, Jack, do me a favor.
Yes.
Close the game and then reopen it. That's gonna be like we are using data. Disappoint.
So
We can talk later about this.
yes. So this is the console system, and all of those things are functional. Unfortunately, our grab script is not, so we can't interact with anything. But those switches actually do flip, and it does detect. It does detect and gives you a binary of on or off of the switches. And you have to punch those buttons, which do actually react to your touch, provided you had a touch. And those will memorize a sequence and compare it against the sequence that you're actually supposed to give. And Steve, I think to your up and to your right. Nope. directly behind you.
Jack, stop giving me Zeke directions.
Okay. That is the ship.
It's so
This is an interesting bug because it does clearly have gravity applied to it, but it is stuck at a weird angle. Somewhere around here is the Earth, and you can actually see it
Oh,
from here.
there it is. You could have just said, look for the Earth. Not
There it
giving
is.
me all this, look at my left.
I
can't.
That also has a collider, and you would be able to receive radio transmissions from the Earth as well. And that, I mean, there's.
Okay, so this is our game. There were 2 other people in our group, but unfortunately they had to go to work. Maxton and I did all of the programming, and we also did some of the 3D modeling. And the 2 other people in our group did some 3D modeling and level design as well.
Let me just turn that. You can turn the sound down a little bit from here too. Yeah, no, try that. Volume up, volume down.
Basically, the goal of the game is to find letters and to deliver them. Basically, that's how we come to the theme of transmission. And it takes place in ancient Greece. So you have to go find the letters and deliver them to various different locations. And you have timers as well. And basically, there's a sprinting mechanic where if you sprint and you trip over something, you can trip. So you can show them how to trip.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's not a VR game.
It's very easy to do.
There's a health bar and an exhaust bar. Basically, if you're sprinting for too long, you'll be exhausted and you'll lose health. And if you trip, you'll also lose health.
Imagine how different this game will get posted.
Yeah, if you see, he loses points in health when he exhausts.
Okay.
Don't die.
Well, actually, yeah, if I trip on anything right now, I'll die.
Or run into a wall. If you run into a wall too fast, you also have the tripping mechanic. And in the scripting, he had a ridiculous factor for how ridiculous the tripping is based on what the collision is.
Oh my God. Try harder.
But that is the general mechanics of the game.
First, let's just figure out who's who.
I'm red.
You're red. Yellow. Okay. Who's blue? You're blue. And you're green. All right. So the idea is to be the last one surviving. So you can hit yourself.
It's very easy to shoot yourself.
Yes.
So there's a representation over each of the people's heads of like how many hearts you have. If you get hit with the laser beam, it takes 1 heart. But you can see there's a time limit of 30 seconds.
And it's about to get excited.
Yeah. So once once the time ticks down, it makes you faster.
Nice.
It makes you have 7 ricochets, and you shoot 3 bullets at once. So who won?
3 to 1.
Is that you?
Yeah. Oh, good team.
The best game is one that you can win by doing nothing, letting everyone else die.
Oh yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
You have to fire somewhere.
Yeah. So when you hold B, you'll note that you kind of float in midair. So we really wanted to emphasize that it's supposed to only take 30 seconds. So that's why the sudden death, it gets insane really fast.
Straight to the side.
I think it ended in green.
Yeah, if you hit the A, like at the end,
Yeah.
it'll go to the next round instantly.
That's awesome. All right.
Yeah, but when you do end, there's a little menu that comes up, and you can go back to the main menu or continue playing. Oh, so it's me and my brother. Yeah, usually I do the programming and code does all the art, but we wanted to go with a simplistic approach just so we could get something fun and playable.
How did you get the laser graphics?
So the laser, what we usually do for simplistic graphic design is we take a 3D cube and we put the origin of where you are and we just stretch it out to where we ray trace like the direction you're looking. Or we'll do the same thing with the sprite. So that's the easiest thing.
How are the explosion graphics generated?
So that was an accidental particle system that I made. And what it does is it's a bunch of little dots particles, but there's a ribbon that kind of sequentially goes around from dot to dot, and it just ended up looking really cool. Yeah, so we used that like as it hits the walls. That's like a smaller version of it. It's a player. That's like the big version, and when you die, I just did a huge one. And that was the same thing that was on the main menu. It's just like that. What's that?
Do those have hitboxes? Is that okay?
The particles themselves originally had collisions with everything, and it looked cool. I don't even remember. Those don't have collisions. Yeah, the particle effects are just
Yep, I made switchboard copper. I had some writing and art help, but they couldn't be here on this last day. It's a visual novel about a cop who takes in, he does the switchboard messages and he talks to people in the field over the telegram. I don't know. So you wake up, still tired, not having slept very well. Now, maybe the police can do without me today. You get out of bed, you go to work, and then you go into the office and you see your assistant Francis, and you're like, should I greet Francis or should I ignore him? I don't know, what do you guys think? Ignore him? Screw Francis. Alright, so Francis hands you a note.
Oh, that's Francis.
So it's a note from the lieutenant. So you open the note, and T House on Mallory Lane was robbed at gunpoint. Confirm the facts with a couple of the officers who are on the scene. And then you get the menu. And so you can talk to anybody in the department, and you can re-refer to the note, right? But it's really only Sergeant Doherty and Officer Wiley right now who will give you anything useful. So you can talk to Briggs, but they're like, what the heck are you talking to me for? I'm not over there. Go away. Right? So talk to Wiley. They're like, yeah. Guy was covered up with a mask, couldn't really see. The other officer's like, yeah, short, thin individual wearing a black hood. Nobody saw the face. All right, cool. So that seems to be all the facts. And then, hey, we've got one more telegraph. Who was it for? It's not for anyone. There's no name. It just says, it was always for you. Well, Francis, that is rather odd, but it's been a long day, so I'll be heading home now. Have a good night. Good night, Sergeant. Oh, day 2. Next morning, you find your desk as you left it the day before. Morning, Sergeant. Morning, Francis. And before you say anything, I know I'm late again. I really must do something about my watch. Perhaps I should drop it off to be serviced. That'd be a smart idea. So Francis walks away, and he comes back and says, hey, there's another note from the lieutenant. Wants you to follow up with the team investigating this crime. So you open it up, and a flower shop was broken into early this morning. Briggs and Wiley are on it. All right, cool. So I'll talk to Briggs and Wiley. Proprietor said that a brick was used to break in the front window. Not sure if anything was taken. It's considerable damage. Huh. Let's see, what's this note say? Alright, so what's it, Doherty? Oh, not Doherty. Custer? Alright, a young boy said that he saw a figure dressed well throw a bottle through the window. Huh. Shortly after, a fire started spread through the house. Seems to be all the facts, alright. Francis, another long day. Any other telegraphs? Just one more. Alright, who's it for? No name. It just says, it was always for you. This is the second one now. Again? Well, that's odd. Wonder who keeps sending him. Seems like a waste to send only that. Oh well, I'm gonna head home. Alright, good night, Sergeant. You as well. Day 3. You arrive at the station just as Francis is setting his things down. Morning, Sergeant. Morning, Francis. So that you're on time. Did you get your watch fixed? No, but I did drop it off at the jeweler on my way in. Made sure that I woke up extra early so I wouldn't be late. Alright, good. Maybe this will help you be on time more regularly. I hope so. Forgot to pack a lunch today. That's unfortunate, Sergeant. It should be fine. Black Leaf and Earl, a little restaurant. It's not that far. Probably walk over and grab a sandwich. Francis leaves and busies himself about the station. It's a fairly slow day. Several hours pass, lunch break is fast approaching. Francis walks up with a note in his hand. Hey, another one from Lieutenant Hughes. Looks like another robbery. 10 o'clock this morning, the Black Leaf and Earl was robbed. The suspect made off with a considerable amount of money. Sergeant Doherty and Officer Wiley are on the scene. All right. Hey, Doherty. Yeah, owner said a slim man with brown hair and a leather mask robbed the restaurant at gunpoint. The restaurant will be closed until the interviews are concluded. Ah, dang it. I wanted a sandwich, right? Huh. He was wielding a gun. One man stated that it seemed as though he was just trying to scare people and not actually was interested in money. Another said that he stole her sandwich. Seems to be all the facts then. That is strange, Francis. What is, Sergeant? A similar description for the 3 crimes on 3 consecutive days. Wonder if it could be the same person. Yeah, that would seem to make sense. Whatever could the motive be? I'm not sure. Oh, it's disappointing I can't get lunch now. Hey, here, Sergeant, have half my sandwich. Oh, I couldn't possibly. It's yours. Nah, I insist. I'm not overly hungry today. Thank you, Francis, for the sandwich. The rest of the day passes very slowly. Just before you leave, you hear a telegram ticker printing out another message. You stand and retrieve it. Once again, addressed to nobody, and it reads, "It was always for you." You feel a little uneasy. You walk home. So you arrive at the station a little extra late. Officer Custer knocks you to the street, bumbling his way out of the station. Sorry, he says as he fades in the distance. You stand up and brush yourself off. You can see Francis looking out the window, gasping. But by the time you get inside, Francis is already pretty busy. Morning, Sergeant. Morning, Francis. Watch still out of commission? Yeah, they seem to be taking a little while. I'm not really sure how long these things are supposed to take. Well, I'm sure they make good time. Sir? Yes? That was a terrible pun. Sorry, Francis. Francis rummages through a stack of papers and hands one to you. It's another note from Lieutenant Hughes. Jewelry store was robbed. Sergeant Briggs and Custer are on the scene. Huh. Hey, Custer. Just spoke with the proprietor. Still cleaning up. Not sure if anything was stolen. All the glass cases were broken, so it's probably likely. All right. Oh, Wiley wasn't on the case. I got that wrong. Doherty, not on the case. All right. Briggs. Been talking to witnesses. No perp sightings, but we found an out-of-place handkerchief on the windowsill. Deep blue. Seems to be all the facts then. Hey, Sergeant, they wanted me to give you this. They found it at the scene. My watch. Yeah, it looks to be in working order, sir. But wait, wouldn't procedure dictate this be in the evidence? Francis sneezes and pats his pockets looking for a handkerchief. Here, take mine. Thanks, sir. This is heavy, concerning stuff. These crimes are cutting very close to home. I quite agree with you. Oh, that telegraph again? Yeah. You look at the message, no address or name, just, "It was always for you." Thank you, Francis. You watch your back on the way home. You could swear you saw a waif of shadow follow you. What does one do when you are the police and you feel unsafe? Day 5. You woke up at a reasonable time, watch ticking nicely, but you found it hard to pull yourself out of bed after the stress of this week's work. Francis is the most overly helpful employee at the station you'd ever seen. It was often a bit overkill. Nice kid, but misguided. When you make it to the office, the building is unusually dead. The lieutenant wasn't there. Not even Francis was at work today. Where is everyone, you say to yourself? A note was left on your desk. Officer Custer was shot, taken to the hospital. I'm personally looking after him. Check in. Well, Francis is in big trouble. He jumped Officer Custer while he was leaving home. He woke up pretty early for this. This was not his first rodeo. I suspect he had something to do with all the recent crimes. All right, Briggs. Yeah, I'm here with Doherty. It's pretty crazy to think one of our own did this. Francis attacked Officer Custer. We got him locked up in the back of the paddy wagon. Hey, Doherty. I know you heard some of this, but I'm here with Briggs. If it were up to me, we'd send him to Pleasantville, let him rot in the desert. Looking after Custer, he's been cut up and bludgeoned, very graphic. I'm gonna have the culprit, Tri-World, taken to the station for some serious interrogation. The facts don't lie. You wonder why Francis did all this. Francis bursts in the office screaming, "It was always for you!" Why won't you notice me? The other officers jump in and tackle Francis to the ground. Lieutenant Hughes walks in holding his gun. You're going away for a very long time, kid. You take the rest of the day off. Not sure how to feel about all this. As you walk home, you find a piece of paper in your pocket. And it read, "It was always for you."
You also have a rocket, which is cool.
Alright, someone did.
Yeah, you gotta go in and try it. Yeah, you basically move to the first objective and then jump around the map and try not to lose. Whether or not you can win is actually
So, yes. Up is jump and space is fire rocket.
So basically you move from checkpoint to checkpoint, you're given a little bit more time each checkpoint you hit, you gain a little bit of money.
Press space over that guy to basically begin the game.
Yeah.
Alright.
And people complain about stuff.
The platforming is super frustrating because we didn't quite figure out the engine.
But if you actually make it past the first round, you can purchase things. Like floating Reagan heads and speed upgrades.
Open the door. Game over.
Oh yeah, we totally refreshed the page as a game over, which is a great advantage of JavaScript. So there's a red indicator that says which direction you need to go to. So there are actually a few buildings here. Oh man. Anyway.
So other people in my group, it was Corinna Flaherty, Logan Seeley, and Jake Root. They've been to game jams in the past. For those of you who have been here before, you probably know them. I did, for the first time, I usually program most game jams, but this game jam, I did do a little bit of programming, but I handled the audio mostly, which was kind of fun, because I didn't really do that before. A little bit of an experience. Logan and Jake did most of the programming, and Corinne did 100% of the art. So anything you see that is visually pleasing is not me. Alright, so we'll get this up and going. Take a look and I'll talk about it while you go through it. So it kind of walks you through it. I don't really have to tell you. Yeah, start level 1 first. So it's an isometric, kind of top-down, dungeon crawler-ish game. There's not a lot of fighting. It's just sort of some puzzle aspects. You got some spikes there. You can use, if you walk up to this, yeah, you regret instant death if you walk into the spikes. And then little tooltips pop up if you walk in certain spots. That tells you how to rotate the camera there. 90 degrees. So the goal is just to get to the end point, go through the level. It has a timer. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't. I mean, you can track and maybe. Yeah, it's for speed run. Yeah. There is, if you hit the spacebar, you can jump. I'm not sure what kind of audio there is. Yeah, let's click on enemies to transmit consciousness. So that's sort of how we use the transmission. Is like you take control of other people, and when you walk. They walk with you while you're kind of linked to them, and then the end is there. You just gotta, so you walk right over. They damage you if you walk into them, so don't. I did all of the level designs. I did all the UI, the audio, which we didn't get to implement a lot of the audio, but some of it is on the numpads because I had to do it for testing. So if you guys wanted to hear some of the. I do think I have a song that goes. Here we go. It's 100% beatbox. That was that diversifier we decided to do. So any sounds you hear came straight from the mouth. And if you hit escape, you can actually turn it down a little bit from in the settings. I got to fool around with the audio mixer, which is something new. I didn't really get to fool around with that before. The full screen works. You can separate music from sound effects. It's pretty nice. Yeah. And it will tell you. Specific pads will open certain doors. So when you walk on the pad, you can hear a little audio cue, so you know you opened a door. This game was obviously made in Unity. All the art it's a 3D world, isometric camera view, and the player and the enemies are all 2D sprites. So that was kind of fun to do the animations for, which was mostly Jake on the animations there. All the sprites were made in Photoshop. All the 3D models were made in Magic of Voxel, which is just a small, very small voxel building like program sort of. And all the audio I made was in Audacity. I think someone else has talked about Audacity yet. Another free music program for recording software. And I think this is the last level. It introduces a new enemy. It's a different color, so introduces different traits like pathing. You can take over them if you like to. Nice. And I think that's the last level. It's going to fade away and do nothing because we don't have another level, but you can.
No, it's only 5 teams last time. They were all 5/16s and they were all high quality. Remember team 10?
So different from this year.
Well, I mean, what I'm trying to get at is that the quality of work took another step forward that I did not expect. So many good quality games produced. Yeah, I'm kind of taken back by that. So for that, I want to give all of you who took part. With that, our jam has concluded. I hope you had fun. I had an interesting time. Those who know why will laugh and see you tomorrow in lecture.
Yeah.
or Tuesdays for some of you. For those of you who came and just showed up and watched, this is a taste of what we do in our program. The level of quality you see today, holy cow! That they came and brought their A game this weekend, so I'm flabbergasted by that.